budget bill provisions and start dates for each provision that affects you most. So I've compiled all the provisions that really affect Americans most and when that start date is, so that you have this all in one place. Save this video so that it makes it easier for you to get to it, obviously, and share it so that you can get this information out to other people who might be scrambling, wondering, when's Medicaid starting? When's SNAP? When's this? Just share it so others can have accurate information. There's so much disinformation out there. Now let's dig in so we can get through my list. In effect immediately, obviously the tax breaks, huge tax breaks for the super wealthy and corporations. Also already in effect are SNAP work requirements. Obviously this is for the able-bodied adults ages 19 to 64 who do not have at least one child 13 years old or under, and who also do not fit one of the other exemption categories. That's already in effect. Effective as of November 1st, 2025 is the ACA, which is the Affordable Care Act. Open enrollment begins. The Affordable Care Act, it's also called Obamacare, expanded Medicaid for people who don't know. Then there will also be higher premiums for people in that program. December 31st, 2025, the energy efficiency and clean energy tax credits end. July 1st, 2026, that is when the new student loan borrowing limits for students and parent borrowers begins. Also when they're going to eliminate a lot of deferment programs. Next date, November 3rd, 2026. Listen, these are the midterm elections, and if you want change, get out there and vote. December 31st, 2026. That is when the Medicaid requirements go into effect, except for those who are exempt. And the very next day, on January 1st, that is when the new paperwork requirements occur. So technically, if you have a recertification on or before December 31st, 2026, well, you're not going to be, you'll be okay with getting through the work requirements. However, if you're applying for Medicaid, or if your recertification date is on January 1st or after, that's when the new paperwork requirements are in effect. So essentially that's when there will be more strict reviews on all of the paperwork, a lot of red tape, a lot of pain in the neck stuff that you're going to have to do on this new paperwork, but also the work requirements will go into effect. So if you have a recertification date on Medicaid, you know, on or after January 1st, you have to already have started working a couple of months before to show proof that you have been working prior to your recertification date or your application date at that point. January 1st, 2027, that is when the National Private School Voucher Program begins. Now, this is a dollar-for-dollar matching federal income tax credit for any donations to scholarship granting organizations. And they only match up to $1,700 per individual. Why is that important? Because what they're predicting, and again, this is a prediction, but we already have seen so many cuts already in the past week with public education. But they're predicting that public education is probably going to be phased out at some point down the road. So they believe that this date of January 1st, 2027, they're really going to start putting more money into private schools and giving even less than what they give now to public schools. October 1st, 2027. This is an important date because this is when cost sharing by states begins. So this is when states have to start paying for part of their Medicaid and SNAP programs rather than getting that extra money from the federal government. So this is when a lot of people from that date on, October 1st, 2027, people are going to start seeing raised taxes. Or actually, you'll start seeing that before because they have to plan ahead for that. But this is really when, you know, some states can choose to completely eliminate their SNAP program, for example. But you're going to see a lot of changes in SNAP and Medicaid and just social programs together. Now, there are some exceptions. There are states who made a deal to get their votes for this budget bill. If you saw my other video, you know what I'm talking about. That get an extra 2 years, that don't have to start sharing in the cost of their Medicaid and SNAP programs October 1st, 2027, like the rest of the country. They don't have to start until 2 years later, October 1st, 2029. And those states are Alaska, Florida, Georgia, Maryland, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, and Washington, D.C. Now, the final effective start date that I've got is July 1st, 2028, and that is when a lot of student loan borrowers will be forced to switch to other plans with much higher payments. So, listen, if I didn't share a date with you, it's because there isn't an effective date offered. So, things like Section 8, rental assistance of any kind, there are a lot of things in this bill that are going to affect people across the board. I've made a lot of different videos on these things, but there aren't effective start dates because those are all going to be individual decisions made by states. So every state is going to be different with all of those things. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I will surely get to them. Message me, whatever's good for you. Please like, follow, and share so that I can continue to provide you with content, and I appreciate you being here.